Today, we're talking about a topic that is finally getting the spotlight: women's health, specifically perimenopause and menopause. You can't scroll TikTok, Instagram, or sit down at brunch without hearing women talk about their common symptoms like hot flashes, mood swings, or maybe even brain fog. But what's missing is clear guidance, real suggestions, and providers that will listen. So, whether you're deep into these symptoms or maybe you just want to kind of get ahead of the curve and get some help rather than just suffering through it, this episode is for you. That's why I'm so excited to jump into this conversation. I'm joined by Terri Paige. She is the co-founder of Kentucky's Medical Transformation Center. She's someone that knows exactly what women are going through because she's been through it herself. Terri, so much to talk about. You were so excited to get into this conversation, and I feel like so many women are eager to hear this conversation.
This is a big topic.
It is a big topic.
It's a big topic.
Why is this all happening now? Why can't you not like scroll through Instagram and see something where women are saying, I can't take this anymore, or I want answers? Why is this having a moment now, you think?
Well, I think if you just look at the demographics of our population in general, right? You know, we had baby boomers, right, which were a big generation. I'm actually kind of on the tail end of that. And we struggled through this. Some of the older baby boomers really never got any help with perimenopause, menopause type symptoms. And the younger ones on that end, we're starting to wake up and go, wait a minute, there's got to be a better way. And then we've got this whole Gen X segment of women coming up, they're up and coming. And these are smart women. They are not, they have, they've been in the workplace, they've been executives, they've been business owners, which is different from some of the older generations, right? I mean, again, the baby boomers, we kind of fought that fight in the 80s and wore the power suits and all that to really get some acknowledgement that we're people too. And we have healthcare needs. And I think now that's a groundswell. It's not just a foregone conclusion that, oh, it's just natural, it's part of life. Women before you have dealt with it, it'll pass and go gracefully into the night. No, we still have contributions to make and want to feel our best to do it.
Women that definitely have been fixers, mothers, have been the cleanuppers, have been we've done so much. And it's almost I'm not going to take that level of bullshit kind of approach, honestly. And you hear these voices of women that are speaking out in books. I mean, you mentioned generational voices. Brooke Shields' book was really the first that I think jumped out, where she was so honest about, I'm aging. Yeah. I'm not supposed to get old, I think is the title of the book. Right.
Yeah.
Brooke Shields is
not allowed to get old.
Right.
She is not allowed to. She I think just recently turned 60, and I loved that book. I mean, I listened to it because I like to listen to books when I travel and I'm in an airplane. I'm telling you, it's very well researched. She's so smart. She's smart and she's gorgeous. What a combination, right? And well researched, but honest and authentic. And it was just spot on. I'm 61 and I've gone through all of this already, and, I'm on the other side, but, I still feel in my head like I'm in my 30s. Actually, I feel better than I did in my 30s. So it's really an opportunity for us to step up and to say, hey, we want to use the technology that's available because, again, it's not a foregone conclusion that we just silently struggle through these types of symptoms and the things that occur as we go into menopause.
And I think with all this awareness, there's still a lot of frustration. Why do you think that is? Do women just think that there is one pill that's going to fix everything, that there's kind of that standard treatment, and then when they try that, they get frustrated and they go, okay, what else? What else is there? So why is there so much awareness and still so many women still searching?
Well, this phase of life has it's multifactorial, the symptoms that occur, right? Our hormones are changing. Our bodies have been used to, our little receptors have been used to having these hormones since we went through puberty, right? And now all of a sudden, kind of remember when you went through puberty and how you felt. I mean, I felt really, when I went through puberty. And then it leveled off and you were an adult female for many, many years. But then as our hormones start to decline again, we start to go through a lot of those changes where we get symptoms like brain fog. And then you're thinking, okay, well, is it just because something's going on with me mentally? Is this early Alzheimer's?
First thing people think of is dementia and early Alzheimer's. Like, there's something tragic really going on with me.
Right. I mean, and that truly was the case with me. I thought, oh gosh, am I getting,
Same. I thought, I'm getting early signs of dementia.
Yeah.
And I told my doctor that, and they're like, girl, you need to calm down.
You might need a little testosterone replacement therapy, actually. that helps actually for cognition and brain fog. But so brain fog, weight gain, muffin top, inability to your workouts aren't as effective as they used to be. Vaginal dryness, libido. There's so many different symptoms that happen. Actually, at first, I think a lot of women start to address one, like you just said, what's going on with my brain?
Mm-hmm.
I need to address that. And then, oh gosh, I put on weight. What do I do with this? So it's just, it's multifactorial, but then really actually it's a set. And if you start to look at it from that standpoint, first of all, when you're younger, how can I set myself up before I start to go through those changes with good habits and cellular efficiency so that when I do start going through, perimenopause and menopause later on, what tools can I use to really still optimize?
So if you visit, say, a traditional OBGYN's office, are they limited in what they can do and what they can prescribe? And no knock against them, because it's great to have a good doctor. If you're comfortable with that doctor and that works for you, awesome. But are they limited in what they can offer women?
I think most of them are in the mainstream traditional arena. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. It's wonderful. I had a great OBGYN. 8 kids, right? So, I mean, having 8 kids, you gotta trust your OBGYN, and that was a wonderful season of life. But as we age, yes, I do think there's some limitations. There's some, again, mainstream medicine ways of addressing some of these issues, and some of them just involve, big scale pharmaceuticals. Whereas what we know on, in the cellular medicine space is more, it needs to be more nuanced, it needs to be bioidentical, and that's not the more of the mainstream way of addressing things.
What do you think is the biggest myth out there when it comes to women's health, specifically perimenopause and menopause?
I think it's just that, this is just how it is. I'm hot, these hot flashes. As we get older, you just get bigger. Your hip, you spread out, and that's just part of the deal. I think the biggest myth is I just have to deal with it, and I'm not empowered to do anything about it other than just accept it.
I'm curious what your journey has been and how it's helped inform you about the different kinds of services that you and Dr. Paige want to offer women here at Medical Transformation Center, because you've really kind of, with the services, have set yourself up as we do things differently, especially when it comes to women's health, and we can get you through this and we can fine tune it. But was there something in your own personal story that helped you arrive here?
For sure.
Where do we begin?
Well, I think we've always, I've shared before on other conversations, we had our roots in traditional primary care, right? And so there was a certain way of looking at menopause or andropause for men, and it was really just more, again, manage a few of the symptoms, and that's just the way it is. Interestingly enough, back in 2014, when we kind of took the show on the road. We had started Medical Transformation Center in 2013, and we spent the whole year of 2014 really trying to get awareness about it. We did talks in different, to different groups. We had this whole series of talks that we did at the health department out in Oldham County, January, February, March, April, May. So there was a whole series, and of course, January was weight loss, February was heart health, March was men's health, April. So it was all a series, and of course, I'm the groupie, right? So I would be there in the back of the room filming every one of them, and every conversation, every presentation that my husband did, he would talk, again, specifically maybe just about cognition, right? Mm-hmm. And he would talk about dementia, Alzheimer's, other reasons that, those types of diagnoses. But then at the end, he would always say, but always check your hormones, because sometimes this could be the result of that. Finally, after about the third or fourth talk, and this was right after I turned 50, I went up to him and I said, dude, I think we need to check my hormones. I've got all those symptoms, and I thought
His speech really spoke to you.
Yeah, I had
speech.
dementia. I had tracked my hormones before that. I had been on a little bit of progesterone before 50 because I would have hot flashes, for example. Mm-hmm. Okay. But something's flipped when I turned 50, and that was when I started to feel, I felt sometimes rageful, like, oh, you're the stupidest person in the world. I want to, whatever, like I did when I was a teenager, back to puberty, right? And I also started to have trouble putting words together. And then I noticed, oh, what's going on here, over my waistband. So all these things, and again, every talk he would end that with, but you might want to just check your hormones, because it might not be that you've got an endocrine problem, or like a thyroid problem, or maybe you don't have dementia, or maybe nothing's going on with your heart. Maybe it's your hormones, right? Finally at the end I did say we need to check him, and sure enough, man, I had gone through full-on menopause.
What?
And didn't realize it, but we had been checking again, so it was just like a switch. And thankfully, then that was when I started on some bioidentical replacement therapy, estrogen, progesterone, and a couple of different types of estrogen, and then testosterone. And, that all of those can make just such an impact in how you think and feel and go about life. Just that simpleness. I mean, literally I was on I was at an event with a group of women, and one of the women was just fanning herself, and she was so hot, and I'm just going through menopause. I'm like, what? It doesn't have to stay this way. There are solutions for this, and I think that's the biggest message: is there are answers to a lot of these symptoms that can get you back on the path towards functioning and feeling your best.
You should feel your best at this age. You should feel like, if you've raised kids and you've had a career and you're entering into a pivot and doing exciting things, you want your mind and your body to feel as excited as you are about your future. Like, that's not
Absolutely.
A big ask.
Yeah. No, it's not. And you're right. I mean, I remember when I turned 50, just that feeling of, I don't have to ask permission anymore for anything. And I'm a grown up. What is it? I'm a grown ass woman.
Yeah.
I'm a grown ass woman. That was an exciting feeling, and you want that energy and that drive to match that mindset. So yeah, I mean, all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And there are peptide regenerative therapies, again, that can help with body composition, with our skin health, with the tone and the texture, and all the things. Mm-hmm. That do it in a natural way, that just prompt your body, remind your body, you know how to do this. Do it.
You already mentioned a couple of therapies. Kind of take us through. Where do women begin, and what are some of the newest, most exciting treatments that you're so excited to bring on board here at Radical Transformation Center? Because I know you are, and don't you feel like we're on the cutting edge of even more incredible things coming out that can help with women's health and women's aging?
Yeah. Well, and that's a big piece of my role here, is to work to find those next good data-backed things. And which I'll just put that little caveat in here now, is you do need to be careful of, and I'm going to call it the fly-by-nights, right? The folks that maybe see an opportunity, which nothing wrong with looking for opportunity.
It is one of the fastest growing businesses out there right now that I feel like a lot of people are capitalizing on. Oh, women's health is hot.
Yeah.
Right. It's getting lots of views, lots of likes. So let's create a supplement.
Yeah, or a solution, or you should do this IV infusion, or you should do these different things, because one of the things that we have always been really mindful about here, even when we started Medical Transformation Center and on the day-to-day, is that it is thoughtful and it is data-backed. It may not be mainstream, but it's data-backed, and there is a lot of good science behind it. And, to the essence of what we're always doing is we're trying to think of, okay, what does the cell need to be optimized, to be efficient, to be flexible, and what tools can we put in there to help it be that way? Because if your cells are efficient, so are you. I mean, right? You feel your amazing self. So, there are a number. First of all, of course, I would do a good set of labs, right? I would do a good set of labs to really understand what's going on. And absolutely, I'm sure hormones will be a component of that, but you also want to make sure. And so when I say hormones, it's not just your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. It's going to be things like your thyroid. What's going on with your thyroid? Is it okay? Do we need, your cortisol levels, your stress levels, right? Because stress can age us really fast, right? And we need to learn how to manage that. So, I would do a good set of diagnostics, first of all. And then, I would start, and again, you want to, work with somebody who knows what they're doing, right? And then I would, it's likely going to involve some bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. And, I know a lot of times folks have concerns, well, maybe I have a breast cancer history in my family or whatever. And we work towards that. We look at that and we look at the whole picture and really, help you make the safest decision for you. But again, a lot of that old data has been debunked on, risk on certain,
Because hormone replacement therapy went through a period of time. I remember when growing up, my mom had a hysterectomy and then she was on hormone replacement therapy after that. It was almost taboo, right, that she had a hormone patch, right? Because it was so controversial at the time that women shouldn't be doing that because it's going to raise your risk of breast cancer. And is that the study that you're talking about? Like in recent years has been kind of debunked, that we're learning a little bit more about that.
Well, it depends, right? Because actually what they were using were hormones that were synthetically made, which of course are the ones we were using as well, but they were not identical, okay? Because you can't patent, read dollars, you can't patent something that happens in nature. So, the larger companies that make medications had to do something different, and that's actually where you can get into trouble, right? So again, that's why I say bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, where it is compounded and made exactly in the same, structure as yours are.
Back up. So explain the difference between those two. So something that is patented and regulated by the FDA is different than a bioidentical hormone replacement. Correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Because
Also,
because you can't patent
is
something.
this fake?
Well, I mean, they're all synthetic, right?
Okay.
Even the stuff you get at the compounding pharmacy is
Right.
synthetic, made in a lab, right?
Right.
But it's had to have the same chemical structure as your hormones. It's the
Which
same
is-
structure. Think back to your chemistry class, right?
My head immediately
Right.
is getting
Okay.
heavy.
So it's the same. Exploding.
Yeah.
It's the same structure as yours, whereas the ones that are have a patent on them, and yes, made with some of the larger companies, those are not identical because you can't patent something that happens in nature, right? So that's the distinction there. So that's why we are always mindful to be using what's identical to what you make. Because, I mean, if your body made it already, why is it a problem? Now, again, there are nuances to that.
And is your body more likely to accept it and respond differently?
Absolutely.
Because it's matched towards you.
Right. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same. It's kind of, So your body already makes those. It just, maybe you've had a complete hysterectomy where you lost your ovaries, so you're not making anything right now. Maybe that was the case for your mom. Or as we get older, and this is just not very nice, but at one point my husband, this was like soul crushing to me. As we get older, maybe our ovaries look like raisins instead of nice juicy plums. But okay, whatever. They did their job, But as we get older and they're not pumping out what they need to, you can replace that with a substance that is identical to what they used to make. So that just intuitively that makes sense, right? So that would be the distinction there, is bioidentical. Okay? So that's one set of tools that you could use, right? Which when I was younger, I thought, oh, menopause is natural. Why would I want to do anything else?
It's not going to be that hard.
So wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I'm so grateful for that, because yes, it brings vibrancy back to your life, right? So bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, there's always going to be a nutrition component. Whether you had it dialed in before or not, there are going to be some changes that we always nutrition.
Do you think diet is the one suggestion that we needed to start yesterday?
Absolutely.
To get ready for this phase of life?
Absolutely. The younger, the better. Figure out how to nourish yourself in a cleaner, healthier way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then peptide therapies are a component of that. Peptides are short chains of amino acids. Again, your body makes peptides. We do have them created, synthetically made, right? But identical to what your body would make. And their job are just signaling molecules. They tell your body, hey, you know how to do this. Go ahead, do it already. Did you forget? And then they break down, and again, because they're just amino acids, their safety profile it's very generally regarded as safe. They have GRAS status, generally regarded as safe, because again, they just break down into amino acids. You're filled with amino acids, right? It's proteins, right? Proteins are made out of amino acids. So they're really good tools. We have a number of those that we use to help, men and women. But I mean, in this instance, as we're talking, for skin, I mean, and a lot of them that we use are injectables and nasal sprays, because those are the best, most effective, right? They go straight in. They don't have to go through the gut. Some of them can be topical. I mean, girl, I use a nasal spray, peptide therapy that helps my collagen production and soft tissue, but I also do a topical one, right? Because again, as anything that we can use, in my opinion, anything that we can use that is clean and safe and natural and will get the job done, I'm all on it. Give it to me. So you've got peptide therapies, great skincare. You want that to be a part of your regimen. And gut health, you want to support with nutritional, whether it's supplementation, of course, always diet. You really want to dial in your gut and make sure it's not leaky, because that's going to mess you up too. And then, I mean, my goodness, we have so many good tools using energy that work on, whether it's the brain, right? To work on helping neuroplasticity, sharpness, function, cognition, and also maybe to work on some things that have been a problem for us, maybe depression or anxiety, or just a poor or a shutdown because of stress. That happens, right? I mean, I can just tell you, I've been there, right? You get so stressed sometimes that you get a little bit like, I can't move. And that's a protection mechanism in your brain. And when we can work with that using some energy to help, break that free, but also help you have the clarity to think, how can I move through this situation?
That is something we've talked about previously. You have a new tool called ExoMind.
Right.
How can that help bring some energy and help you with the brain fog?
Well,
and the anxiety and the depression.
Because it's working on and I always have to make sure I say the right order, left dorsal prefrontal cortex, that area of the brain, okay? That's command central. And that really works, and this was, my husband gave me this information, so I just thought it was fascinating. I didn't realize this. When, we've gone through trauma, so like PTSD, when we've gone through trauma or just a lot of stress, that area of our brain actually will shrink a little bit as a protection mechanism to keep some of the stimuli out to protect us. Well, too, that can be a double-edged sword, right? It's helped us protect us, but now we're not fully functioning. And, we can't think clearly and we can't focus, So whether and what woman, I don't know, do you know any women that aren't stressed? So ExoMind is our latest tool that we have in that regenerative energy device arena. And that left dorsal prefrontal cortex, that stimulation, I know, that's a mouthful. I need my ExoMind so I can say that word, right? But anyway, it works on that area of the brain, and that is command central. So again, when we're stressed, maybe, and a lot of women are on, and we've talked about this before, on antidepressants, for a variety of reasons. It's that energy is FDA cleared for depression treatment, which is interesting. But so it works on that area of the brain just to help strengthen it. Just kind of think of it as the workout, right? The workout for that area of your brain to help with neuroplasticity, which is how you form new pathways and abilities to think and plan and manage, multiple things. It's that extra oomph to help us really, I don't want to say power through, because we spend a lot of time trying to power through it, right? But to, that support that we need to be our best and our highest best use for our brain.
Mm-hmm. And then what about supplements? I see plenty of supplements online, and a lot of them maybe are not the right fit for our bodies. How do you work with supplements to kind of help support too? Or do you think that that's something that's kind of been overblown as being a fixer?
Yeah, I think supplements, you want to just be really targeted. I mean, you can have like a whole handful, right, of supplements, and you get pill fatigue, right? You get supplement fatigue.
You don't even know what you're taking anymore.
Capsule fatigue, and do I need these? And then
Yeah.
a lot of times you're double dipping, and
Yep.
we see that a lot actually, because we do ask our patients to bring in what they're taking, and a lot of times you bring in a whole bag, and well, okay, you don't need this. This is a duplicate. This is that kind of thing. So I think really, first of all, part of what we do is we actually check your nutrient absorption and any deficiencies so that it's very targeted. And actually soon we're going to have, this is cool too, we're going to actually have, based on that information, a little drink that is made, a little sachet that you mix with water.
Yeah.
That's just your mix of exactly what you need. So again, you'll get rid of that pill fatigue, and it'll be just very absorbable and that kind of thing. That's coming soon. That's exciting. But so really targeted towards you. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. I mean, it has to do with the sunscreen.
Is that very important to have as
it's
you age?
so
D?
important. Oh my goodness, D3. Yeah, D3 is super important for at any level. I mean, we check everybody's always when they come in, and there's a normal value, which is 30, about 30. That's normal. You're going to go, yep, you're good to go. That's what the lab test will tell you. And then there's optimal. And for us, that optimal range, we like to see it at least in the 70s. So, because that's better function, that's metabolism, right? So again, part of what could happen with getting the muffin top and things like that, metabolism, mood, overall endocrine function, I mean, there's just some energy level. So there's so many good things to have, with D. And you want to get one that's mixed with K, D3, K2, because that then helps you with bone density and absorption for, strong bones. Okay. So that's usually, if somebody was going to take a few things, also being careful with the B vitamins. We know now the MTHFR variant, that's, something that we've been checking folks for many, many years. And now that's getting some more traction out in the mainstream media. But it is important because that has to do with how you methylate and how you process certain B vitamins. And so that isn't something else that we look at is, you could take B vitamins all day long, but maybe you have this little, they're called SNPs. Maybe you have this little tweak in your genetics that doesn't allow you to really process it in that form. So again, you might just be peeing it out, or maybe it's actually holding you back a little bit, and it can. And that is tied to ADD, ADHD, mood, energy level, mitochondrial level. So there's a lot of reasons why you would want to take a properly methylated B vitamin. I mean, I would just err on the side of caution and take methylated Bs, whether you have that variant or not, because if you're not going to test and you don't know for sure, it's better won't hurt you to take those, right? And you'll still absorb them. That makes sense. Go ahead. You were going to collagen, absolutely. Collagen all day long. Yeah.
What is it about collagen that we need in our bodies that we start? Why is it being depleted in our bodies?
Well, I mean, it's just a good support because as we age, right? Our ability to repair, to grow muscle, our skin laxity, our bone density, collagen supports all of that function. So it's extra support is what it is. And again, always supplements aren't meant to just like, oh, you can take all these supplements and not eat, right? You want to eat a good, whole foods, nutritionally balanced diet. We recommend Paleo-Mediterranean. But, I mean, the reality of it is, again, we're busy, we're running, we're doing, a lot of our food sources are depleted. So, it is important to have some really targeted supplementation in there. But again, I would recommend, not just taking a big handful of stuff just because you heard or read on TikTok that this one was that one or whatever. I mean,
but it's so easy to get sucked into it,
isn't it?
Because you don't feel judged. And I think for myself and for a lot of women, sometimes it's been difficult to have conversations because we don't feel heard. We don't feel heard at all. We don't feel like I can sit and talk to you for a very long time, this, because I feel, and you must feel like people enjoy coming and speaking with you because you're empathetic towards what we're going through and you're listening and you're offering solutions and not making it sound like, well, if this doesn't work, it's okay. We're going to pivot and go here. Like it's this process, but it's easy to talk to you. And I think that sometimes women don't feel like they have anybody to talk to.
You are right. I mean, sometimes I do. Well, again, sometimes in my house I feel like I'm speaking. My mouth is moving.
It's
and
the exo
nobody hears me. No, that nobody hears me, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll be talking at the dinner table, and if everybody's home, and it's like nobody hears me. Okay, when the kids were little, put away your clothes and you're talking and nobody's doing anything, right? We spend a lot of time like that. But I think that's important. It's important to have a relationship with your partner in health where, there is time. That's part of it, right? And unfortunately in our siloed traditional healthcare system right now, you've got somebody you talk to about this, somebody you talk to about that, so it's all siloed, right? And so there's not somebody who puts it all together and has the time to do that. Because even, unfortunately, and again, no judgment on this, it's the way the system is designed, and we were there in primary care for many, many years. Those are our roots, right? But those visits are usually very short. They're one problem. Let's address that. We'll need to make another appointment to address the next thing. It's a 10-minute appointment oftentimes with the actual physician or nurse practitioner.
If you get
assistant.
your doctor. It's
Right.
usually a nurse
So you
practitioner.
want to be able to have those relationships. And that's one of the things I think where, we're always working here at MTC to improve that experience. We have an ambassador program that we just launched where, our patients do get to spend good time with the physicians when they see the physicians. Those are long appointments. By long I mean at least about 45 minutes. I mean, we hate to peg a time, but they're long appointments or longer than that, because there is that opportunity for conversation. And before that, of course, we've had a big questionnaire filled out because we want to know everything. Mm-hmm. We want to know what you ate for dinner the last 3 days. We want to know what your stress looks like. We want to know your background. We want to know all kinds of things, because it allows us to put a big picture together. And even with all of that, sometimes when I'm just talking with a patient, maybe doing a touch point visit or something like that, you hear another nuance to their story, and then you go, oh, that makes sense. That's why this isn't working. So let's pivot and move it, like you just said. But that takes time, and it takes building that relationship, which is what's so important to us. One of the things that is always gratifying for me is, because this is important, is when patients say, I feel heard and seen. And we all, like to your point, we all want to feel heard and seen in our relationships and in our healthcare, and our partners with wellness. That's important, because if we're not fully heard and seen, how can we expect to have the best outcome?
So true. And so you're going to have plenty of opportunities for people down the road to be heard and seen, and see if they want to be a part of what you all are doing in here, because it's almost like a movement. I feel like there's a movement afoot with women seeking different care, like this, and admitting this isn't working for me. I need to seek something else. What are you all doing here to kind of open up the doors and kind of be fully transparent about what you do and let people kind of like try it out before kind of investing in it?
Yeah. Well, we have a number of different events coming up over the next several months. One of them is going to be, it's called the BTL Bus Tour, and it's mind, body, spirit. Really, it's all of that, because we're on. So BTL is the company that makes these regenerative energy devices that we've invested in, and we have a number of them that address body composition, functional wellness, range of motion, ability to move about, tennis or pickleball elbow, to work on rehabbing that, pelvic floor dysfunction. I mean, right? I mean, jump on a trampoline, pee in your pants dysfunction, that kind of thing. So, non-invasive facelift, saggy skin, inability to have, not good core. So there's all kinds of devices that are available, and they're all listed on our website. But anyway, once a year, that company BTL does a bus tour. Oh, it's fun, and we'll have it here on July 17th from 4 to 6, which is going to be so much fun. That's an opportunity for people to come out to get to meet you, which is going to be
yeah.
exciting. I know, and to try and to learn about the all of the different modalities that we have here at Medical Transformation Center. But to actually get to take a trial of whether it's the MCELA, which is the pelvic floor rehab, or the ExoMind, which we've been talking about for the brain, and a number of other tools, they can try those and see how they like those, and we can share with them how we use them here in a special way, coupling them, because we always marry them with a lot of our other secret sauce items too, because we want the highest and best outcome. And it's not just stick the energy on, even though that energy is amazing. There are going to be other tools that we put with that to really enhance and get the best outcome.
And building off that into September, you have the Age Smart Festival. Yes.
We're so, our third annual, it started.
It's a fall festival of a different kind.
It is. And we bring in, and the first year it was just us, and the next year we brought in a few, last year we brought in some other folks, but this year it'll be even bigger than that. But what we try to do is, and we do it out in our parking lot, bring together in one spot, right? Like-minded wellness partners. So folks that are focused on, maybe food and food sourcing and how to grow your own food, or special modalities in physical therapy, or even in podiatry. And, we always have some fun stuff. We usually have somebody doing some dry styling and some nail art and things like that. But it's all designed in a festival atmosphere. Very fun, very festival atmosphere. But just to have folks come in and learn, whether you invest in something with us or not, but just get some really good information on aging well. Because the fact of it is, when we're born, we're aging from the moment we are. And so
That's
again,
a good way to put it.
Well, we truly are, right? And we're not going to stop a clock. You can't stop a clock. Nobody, I don't think, has figured that out yet, right? But what we can do is just maximize, and really enhance how we move through time. Right?
Oh, that's well said.
It's true.
It's so true.
It's true.
It is so true, because we have so much more to do. And then looking further into the fall, you're getting ready to host your first ever retreat for women.
Yeah. So it will be, I'm really excited about this, actually. We're going to do a retreat for women that really want to level up their health. So, geared primarily towards that perimenopause and menopause, but honestly, if women younger than that want to come in and be proactive, totally welcome to do that.
And you suggest that women really need to be, I know we're talking about women in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, but this is really a discussion that begins in your 30s.
Absolutely.
Because more women are going through this even earlier in life.
Yeah, absolutely. But to have that time and that space where, they'll get to learn more about their health, to get to do some hands-on, to have some stress relief, to eat some really yummy food, to see how easy that can be, and how good it feels to nourish your body and take care of yourself. So stay tuned on that, but I'm looking for that to be in October. Okay. Yeah, and if folks want to be on that wait list, because it'll be intimate. If they want to be on that wait list, I recommend that maybe they get on our website, fill out that contact form, and just put in that interest. Keep me posted on the Women's Wellness Retreat.
Put me in line right now. Put me in line.
Put me on the list. I want to come and hang out.
I love coming to hang out with you. I do. I just feel like every time we get together, I learn something new, right? You kind of peeling back the onion on women's health. And don't you feel like every time you get into this, there's just something new, and there's something so much new and exciting to kind of bring to the forefront?
There really is. And, we have some amazing folks in our mastermind group that we work with, and I love just being there, being together, learning what the latest research is showing out of Norway or, Russia. There's so much good data out there. And, what's out there, what they're doing in Europe, what tools can we use. And fortunately, in the model that we have chosen with Medical Transformation Center, because we are, I'm going to say, outside of the main system, we're not insurance based. And actually, sometimes I know that's hard for people, but the reason that we do that is so that we can bring our best. Yeah. And we can't, to your point earlier in our conversation, sometimes when you're part of those constraints, you can't bring all the tools that good medical minds have discerned can really be helpful for people, but they're just not part of the mainstream.
Terri, thank you so much. Always great to sit down with you.
I love our conversations because we really dig in and get
there.
to the meat of it. Yeah.
Love it.
I hope this episode resonated with you as much as it did me. Terri Paige reminds us that we're not crazy, and we certainly don't need to just push through the toughest health journey of our lives. So if this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend, a sister, maybe somebody that needs to hear it. And be sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me know what you would like to hear next right here on The Bluegrass Life. Of course, if you would like to get in touch with Medical Transformation Center, Terri Paige, or get some answers to get connected here, all that information is listed in the show notes. Until then, be kind to yourself and stay grounded in the good stuff.